And I like to be able to remind myself that, as long as I wake up and don't quit, then I can't lose, right? As long as I'm willing to roll up my sleeves, get the work done, the next day, maybe things work out for me, maybe they don't, but at least I can keep myself in the game and keep going, right? The aim is just keeping yourself in the game. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast and our Whiskey Wednesday episodes with my main man back in action from sickness, Mr. Dave Sivulich. We got producer Jake back there. We got a lot of things to talk about today, right? We've got some topics that are kind of going on, things that are going on in our world as usual for Whiskey Wednesdays. And then we got a lot of questions. You guys are doing a great job sending those questions in. So the majority of this episode looks like are going to be questions from what I see on the screen, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. We appreciate all of our listeners sending in questions that they're curious about, and we're happy to kind of dive in and answer them. So it's pretty awesome.
So as a reminder, you guys send them in, support@vodacy.com, or DM us on whatever platform you're watching or listening on, and we'll make sure we get those on in upcoming episodes. My favorite part of the show. But I like talking about what's going on in our world. You've been sick for a little while. We kind of been missing you around here at the office, and it's. I know we give you a hard time, but
reviews went up last week. I hear.
Hey, it was a good episode.
I know.
Even Jake and I had a good conversation.
Even I kind of watched it and was like, "Dang, that's pretty good." I don't know if maybe I should.
We missed you. We're glad you're back in action.
It, so,
you
I like it.
you were down and out for a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know what you had.
No, just a little cold. There's a little man cold.
A little man cold.
I didn't even tell
week.
Kelly about it. I didn't even want her. I didn't even want
we'll
her.
Ask Kelly if she knew about it.
She kept asking, "Are you sick? Are you doing all right?" I'm like, "I'm fine."
Yeah.
I didn't. They give me such a hard time around there. They think I don't have a cold. Most colds that I have would put most people in the OR.
I don't let people in the office if they've got a cold. You guys know that.
I know.
I kick you out of the office. I told Jake, you guys try to battle it out in the office. I'm like, I don't want to be around you. I don't want you in here. I don't want getting sick. I don't like being sick.
A couple of times we've had some guys come in to try to, stay for a couple hours, and we Lysol the place down.
Yeah, we kick them out, Lysol it. Yeah. So your seat, and that's why your mic was messed up today. We had to put Lysol over it.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've had a few things going on. You've been busy with kids.
My kids, man, they've been busy this last week. My daughters, most of the listeners know, she's playing soccer down at BYU now, and they started their spring season, and so they actually played this last weekend. They played the Monarchs, the pro team from Salt Lake, and it was awesome. It's fun to see her playing. So I mean that's awesome. So we're juggling from a Friday night game with Sophie for BYU, and then Saturday afternoon, Sam at Salt Lake Community College, they played the number one team in the country, Snow College. They went down to defeat, but it's just fun watching kids play. You know what I mean? And it's fun. It's fun watching sports, I think, when somebody's playing. Obviously, when you're a dad, it's way different. But it's fun to watch sports when you know somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I enjoy watching. I would never watch girls soccer. I just not been into it. Yeah. None of my kids play it. But like when we see Sophie out on the field, it's fun to watch, right? Yeah. Like you can get into something if you know somebody that's doing it. Yeah. And she's freshman. She's 17 in college on her own. Yeah. She moved out right around Christmas time, and then she got the starting nod.
I know.
on the first game. I mean, that's it's pretty impressive. Are they a top 10 team? Yeah, the rankings haven't come out yet.
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. This is kind of new to us too. So they're always going to compete. BYU, they have some returning girls and stuff. So I think they'll have a good year. So I told Sophie, and we had a good conversation. In fact, she told me, she said, Dad, every single week it starts over. Like you got to fight for that position. Next week, you better prove that you're the
big time conference, big time program. I mean, you got your Big 12 and big lots of things. And Sam just getting wrapped up. He's got a couple games left, right? And then the tournament.
I know. And then the tournament. I think they got to be able to win out on the tournament to make it to the national tournament. So their regional tournament to make it to the national tournament. So we'll see. A couple big weeks here. It's fun to watch them, and it's crazy how fast the season went by. I mean, we talk about every game and every morning before work starts, we kind of talk about the night before if there was a game and stuff. So, but it's crazy. It's the season's almost over. This is my favorite time of year, though. I love March Madness. And,
March Madness coming up.
Teams are starting to play. My alma mater, St. Mary's, they won the WCC. So sorry to all those Gonzaga fans out there. You know what I mean?
They're right.
But
so they wrapped it up. They've already won it.
They got one game left, but they beat Gonzaga on Saturday at Gonzaga. Huge win. And This is the second time, this is the first time since the late 90s that somebody other than Gonzaga has won the conference 2 years in a row. So,
wow.
I mean, that's crazy.
That's awesome.
So, I mean,
good for them.
We're talking 24 years
right.
since Gonzaga has won the conference every single year, except once in a while St. Mary's has won it, but never twice in a row. So it's pretty big. It's
fun.
Kind of
fun.
So,
yeah, I've been like out of touch with sports this year.
You've been building the barn.
I was building the barn
all weekend. I mean, we're dead in the winter, and Shawn comes in on Monday, look like he'd been in the tanning bed.
Yeah,
that guy's got some sun on his face.
We're outside, but we're sun up to sun down. We're building barns on the weekends. Last 2 weekends in a row, my brother and I we're up there, and it's actually starting to look like a barn.
Yeah,
like we're getting roofs on it, and we'll it's been fun. It's actually been really fun. Like it's fun to get out on the weekends and do that. So, but I haven't watched any games. Like going into March Madness, I don't even know how to fill out my bracket. I'm going to be guessing. I might do really good. Yeah.
You probably win it if you guess, because that's what happens to most people. So
that's
awesome.
I'm excited for this time.
Well, good. Hey, dude, you had about an hour ago. You had an amazing podcast that we just recorded. It's going to go live here in a week or so. But dude, I mean,
I'm excited about
Larry Fleet.
Larry
Fleet, kidding me?
Yeah, one of my favorite singer-songwriters. I mean, just
country music. I love that guy.
It was a really good conversation. Want to talk about a guy you're like happy to root for and you're happy to see. I mean, it's his entire life is just about hard work, determination, not taking the easy road.
Yeah.
And that's what his songs are about. If anybody, you guys are listening, like when you look up Larry Fleet's songs, they're about that, kind of the road less traveled, but the road that most of us, the hardworking man is on, like he was a construction worker doing concrete in the day and then singing in bars at night. And, ultimately, is where he's at now and coming in town. You guys are all going to go see it. Wyatt and I have this weekend, they were nice enough to give us all really nice VIP seats and everything and tickets and get to go meet him and coming into Salt Lake, and gosh, I'm going to be out of town.
Oh, so excited. So Larry Fleet and his team, thank you so much for the tickets, the Odyssey. We're going to represent and be cheering loud for you. So we're excited. That's going to be this Friday night. So.
Yeah, and we'll drop the episode. What do you think, Jake? We're going a couple weeks?
Maybe this Friday.
Yeah.
Let's get it going.
Let's do it now. Let's do
it right now. Can you do it? Can you get in on about that 10 minutes or so? All right.
I can do it pretty fast.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then you guys will be listening to it on Friday. So tune into Friday's episode. It was a good conversation. He was a really, really nice guy. Again, like Experts Corner is all about being able to talk to those experts that have, success leaves clues. I always say that. And so it's fun. We bring in people from all different areas now, not only just short-term rental investors that are having success. We're bringing in a lot of really high producing people that are having success in their own lives in different avenues, different areas, because it all leaves. It's funny. The road to success is all paved pretty much the same way. You go, you put in the time, you put in the effort. It's not an overnight success. You deal with all the challenges along the way. You pick yourself back up. You look in the mirror and say, I can do this. I can still do this.
Right.
You get people along the way that can put their arm around you and help you along the way. And every one of these conversations has the element of that story, right? It's that hero's journey that you're going after the save the princess, and there's dragons around every corner, and you want to turn around, and there's somebody there to help you, and before you know it, life looks way different, and that's what we talk about all the time. And it was a really fun conversation to dive in that with him.
Well, and you learn something from everybody else's experiences, and it's pretty awesome. So those are cool, and I'm excited because we've had some pretty important and big name guys on our podcast recently. So good job for them wanting to be on your podcast. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, good job, Jake, for getting some really a great lineup. And so, guys, as always, go listen, share, and hopefully these conversations. I have great time with the conversations, and so I hope people get out of them as much as I do, and we and they get a lot of value out of it.
Yeah. You and I are fans of, we like cookies, we like homemade cookies. I know your favorite is sugar cookie.
We do like cookies.
I love a sugar cookie. I love it. My wife makes an amazing oatmeal, chocolate chip. Man, that is so good. But Girl Scouts cookies coming out a little heat lately, huh?
Hey, don't ruin it for me. What are you talking about, man?
Well, they're just saying they're,
You're looking at the screen saying that they're going to kill us now? I don't want to know that. I mean, it's a cookie. They're not supposed to be good for you.
I think the thing is, I think it's probably every cookie.
Yeah.
That's probably not
Why are we picking on Girl Scout
for
cookies?
You? Sugars, maybe some things we're not sure is in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Girl Scout cookies saying there's some stuff that's in there we might not want to be eating. So I don't know. I'm gonna still buy the Thin Mints.
Yeah,
they're my favorite.
Mine are Thin Mints too. I love Thin Mints.
What are the other ones? Thin Mints.
Samoas. I like the Samoas.
Is that the
coconut and chocolate ones?
I try to stay.
You like those too, Jake?
Like those? Yeah. I stay away from those.
I like. I mean, a cookie's a cookie. It's not good for you. If you eat too many of them, you're gonna have problems. And so we don't need to be throwing shade on Girl Scout cookies. That's my take on it.
I think you still eat them. And
you take your chances with a cookie.
You sip your Coke with them.
You sip your Coke, sip your whiskey. None of that shit's good for you. So you pick your poison.
Yep. So let's move on.
I'm staying on. I'm not letting you ruin Girl Scout cookies for me, Jake. Sorry, you can't throw that up on the screen and ruin Girl Scout cookies for me.
That's one of Jake's
I like Girl
things.
Scout cookies.
I just read what's on the screen.
I feel really good when I walk out of Sam's Club or the grocery store and I see the girls out there selling them. It's kind of fun, Yeah. So I feel like I'm doing my part, and then I get to partake in some toxic cookies.
Yeah. Exactly. All right.
So, there we go.
Okay.
I'm still doing it. I'm not stopping.
All right, let's jump into some questions.
All right.
We have some great questions from our listeners. They email them. Remember, just to email them to support@vodacy.com. Things that you're interested in, want answered, or want to talk about. So we're excited. Appreciate those. A new report came out showcasing which places are going to be huge hits for spring break. So we're kind of coming into that time right now where a lot of people, most people got their plans already, but I'm obviously the number one reason why most people are picking spring break. One, their kids are out of school, so they don't have to miss school. But the second is, let's get out of this cold weather and enjoy. Yeah,
I think we all get a little cabin fever and ready to go. Teresa is a huge this time of year. Everything she sends me is of we need to go here. We need to go here, and they're all awesome. Beaches and they're all warm because and no surprise the top domestic destinations. Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Atlanta, Miami, New York. I'm not sure how that one made the list. Honolulu, Anaheim, Tampa, Chicago. Another bad choice. Charlotte. Yeah. They got 8 of the 10. Yeah. Pretty dialed in.
You know which one I think's missing that I think's one that a lot of people go to?
Where?
Is Phoenix, Arizona. Spring break baseball.
Yeah, that's because we're here. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
the weather's really
it doesn't surprise me that Phoenix is on there.
It's like high 70s, even in the 80s, and
AAA. We're gonna make a substitution. We're putting Phoenix, Scottsdale area in for either Chicago or New York, and I'm sure we can find another warm destination.
We can do that because it's
our show. Mm-hmm. We can do whatever we want.
So we're gonna remove.
So we're replacing
Chicago, and we're gonna put Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay. What else would you like to sub for New York?
Let's see.
Well, I think all the other ones are good.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you take New York out. What do you think, Jake? Where would you want to go any other place other than what's listed?
Ooh, I would go somewhere the Gulf of America, that's huge now, right? So I would guess somewhere in that area.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Somewhere warm down there in the Gulf of America.
Yeah. Maybe somewhere around there.
That's good. I like how that was quick.
I like how you threw that in there.
Yeah.
You're going to get sued by Mexico. They're going to sue you if you call that. You saw that they're suing Google Maps for changing it.
Mexico,
the country of Mexico, is considering a lawsuit against Google Maps.
Because Google Maps did change it?
Google Maps changed it to the Gulf of America, and they are suing them.
That's awesome.
So we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
So, Jake, I don't know if we're going to get in trouble on our podcast because you just mentioned that, but
I'll cut it out.
Madam President of Mexico, please don't sue Vodacy because we can't afford a fight with Mexico right now.
Yeah, we don't want one.
We don't want one. Trump, Google, they might take the fight. Right now, we just want to be friends.
Yeah,
we just want everybody to get along.
All right, next question. What books have changed your mentality? Kind of motivated you? We talked about a few books the other day. You got to sneeze?
I was about to. Go ahead.
I'm not a big book guy, you know that. But one book that you turned me on to was Winning, and
Tim Grover.
It's
Winning.
funny you turned that on to me. You turned that on to me a few years ago. I listened to it. I loved it. Thought it was awesome. So I thought about listening to it again. And the day we talked about it, which was Friday, I go home and I go into the change clothes for the evening or whatever, and my wife's got it on. She's listening to it. She's listening to Winning.
Dude, that's awesome. Because I just said, what did I tell you Friday? I'm like,
we just talked about it.
Go re-listen to it.
And she's listening to it. And I'm like, that's so weird,
Did you tell her we talked about it?
No, but do you have her phone on speed dial?
Huh? Well, you should tell her and see what she says. Maybe I had the same conversation with her.
Yeah, you called her
like,
and
hey,
said,
I think winning needs to be in the Sivulich household, and so you guys need to listen to it.
Yeah,
Maybe I said that. I don't know.
It's kind of that, like, you walk around, you hear things, and you're like, oh wow, I should. Yep. So, anyways, that's one book. What about any others?
Yeah, the kind of the duo there, Relentless and Winning. Those are by far probably the two most listened to books on my Audible. I bet I've listened to each of those at least 10 times.
Yeah.
Like it's I love those. It's Winning and Relentless by Tim Grover.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I love it. I love the books. I love everything they're about. I love what they represent. I love how they dive into the dark side of things, not so pretty side of success.
Yeah.
And how hard it is and what a grind it is. Because I think sometimes when you're running down a road, like we all do, and this is what you and I were talking about on Friday. You start running down a road and you're like, man, what's wrong with me? This isn't working. Like, what's wrong? Like, I feel like everything we do doesn't work, or I feel like it's always a challenge and it's always an uphill battle. And that's just part of it, right? And what kind we were talking about. And sometimes it's nice to hear that you're not the only one that thinks that. Right. And I like those books for that reason. And I like to be able to remind myself that, as long as I wake up and don't quit, then I can't lose, right? As long as I'm willing to roll up my sleeves, get the work done, the next day, maybe things work out for me, maybe they don't, but at least I can keep myself in the game and keep going, right? Yeah. The aim is just keeping yourself in the game. And I love those books. I love how he breaks that down, and you listen to those and you think, there's some examples and some things he talks about that maybe I didn't even do as much as I should have done, right? Sometimes you're like, okay, well, I thought I was kind of feeling bad for myself. I thought I was, maybe I thought I was putting in the work, but then I read this or hear this, and I'm like, man, I wasn't even doing half of what I should have been doing. Yeah. And I need to do more. And I think that's part of that conversation I had with Larry today with Larry Fleet was like, hey, listen, we're not, we got to remind ourselves that it doesn't always work out, and be present in the good times, be present in the bad times. And there's a price to success. And people who are listening to this, like everybody wants the easy button. Everybody wants to say, hey, listen, I want, I want the view from the top, but I don't want that climb. And you can't avoid the climb. Right. You can't avoid getting knocked down. You can't avoid the bumps and the bruises and the scars that you're going to get along the way. So when you look back, you're in a position to actually, one, deserve and enjoy and keep the climb at the top and the successes that you had. But sometimes it just takes a while, right? Yeah. And I love those books for that reason. And there's a lot of tactical books that have been really good and have changed my life. But those two books, I think that for me personally, they're it for me. Yeah. Good. I know you don't love books a ton. Any that come to your mind?
Well, there's a couple. There's a book that's kind of an inspirational book. It's super easy read. It's called The 12th Angel. And I got it from a mentor boss of mine about 15 years ago. It's like only 100 pages, but it's a really cool story. It's a motivational story. It's super easy read, but I love winning. It's on my list to do again. I'm not a big reader. I wish I was more, but I know there's some great
I don't read a lot. I listen a lot.
Listening to them is way easier.
Yeah. I have more time to listen to them, it feels like. But what I like to do is I love the hard copies of the books that I listen to a lot. Yeah. So I always buy a copy as well, because I'll highlight the things. If I'm working out in the morning and I'm listening to a certain chapter, I'll go to the actual book and highlight the things I like so that it's on my shelf. I can pull it out and just look for the highlights. Right. And
just to get some motivation and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good. How often should I audit my property? This question comes up quite a bit from those who are considering short-term rentals, but also those within the group. And it's interesting. A lot of people just assume I should just audit it once when I'm trying to buy it. Yeah. And I understand, like, hey, I understand the numbers. Do the numbers work? Should I, buy it, and during the acquisition phase, really should run the numbers, audit it. But after that,
Yeah, I think it's the biggest mistake most investors make, and especially in the short-term rental game. You don't, like, if you're a big investor in multifamily commercial, and it's very sophisticated, big money, syndications and all that stuff, they're auditing properties' performance all the time, right? Why aren't we doing that on our short-term rentals? And you should be doing it because you're running a business and your performance is different every single month. Short-term rentals is really, really important, in my opinion, to run your numbers and audit your performance every single month based on how did you do how did you compare to the market, right? And what if you're sliding and you think you're doing okay, and all of a sudden you wake up and you look back and you're like, what just happened? I'm not even at the top of this market anymore, and you weren't paying attention to it. You can make the necessary adjustments when you're auditing on a monthly basis. Most investors do not do it, and so they think, okay, I'm gonna run the numbers. I'm gonna underwrite this property before I buy it, see what the potential is. But then they never pay attention if they're living up to their potential, or they might audit it at the end of the year and say, well, I projected $100,000 in gross revenue and I made 95, so I'm pretty close. Well, what if the market went up and there was a lot more money being spent every single month in your market, and that 95 that you projected, because markets move, markets go up and down, and so. What if that's underperforming for your property, right? Or what if the market went down and you were able to maintain a 95 and you're like, man, I didn't hit my numbers, but you way outperformed the market, and you know that along the way. And it's really important to know that stuff. You make decisions based on those numbers. Every upgrade we do, every amenity we add, all of the things that we do is we're judging on how's this market performing? How much money is being spent in the market? How am I stacking up to the other properties in the market? Am I at the top of the market, the middle of the market, the bottom of the market? Those things you should know. If you don't know those, then it's your fault at the end of the day if this property is not performing the way you thought it was going to perform. Right?
No, that's
because
good.
you can make adjustments on a monthly basis.
Well, and being proactive, you know what I mean? Understanding the business.
It's running a business.
Yeah, we talked to so many people, and they're like, so how you doing? And compared to the rest of them, I think we're doing fine.
I think we're doing okay. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's a lot of money to be thinking you're doing okay.
Those hope strategies are always, challenging. So I hope I'm doing good.
Sounds like our congressmen and senators. I think I'm spending the money in the okay way.
Right.
You think, or
Yeah. You don't want to go into that, right?
No, I don't want to go into that. I already told Jake, take that off the list.
All right, we got a question. Do you give discounts for veterans?
Yeah.
To short-term rentals. If they're going to rent your property, do you give a discount to them?
Yeah, we do. We do a 10% discount for first responders and military. I think it's awesome to be able to do that. Talk to your management partners and offer those discounts. Now, it's just a personal choice, right? Yeah. It's a way that you can say, hey, thanks for your service. We appreciate it, and offer a discount. Usually we do 10%. And so I think it's awesome to be able to do that. I don't know that it makes a difference on marketing the property or getting more business or anything else. I just think you personally choose whether you want to do something like that or not. And I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I don't think it's I wouldn't necessarily say it's a strategy for marketing or making more money or anything like that. It's not like, okay, I'm going to offer, we're gonna accept pets and my revenue is going to go up, or I'm going to charge more for that. No, you're not going to use it necessarily as a marketing thing. You're just kind of giving back and saying thanks.
Yeah. Well, and it's also more likely to get a good 5-star review. Hopefully.
Oh, they're going to appreciate it for sure.
They'll appreciate it, and they'll also, maybe they'll want to come back. And you get a repeat stay. So for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to do, but again, kind of a personal choice of whether you want to do it or not do it. I mean, some people are really feel really passionate about that, ourselves included. We're very grateful and thankful for all the servicemen and women. We, all the first responders. Those are tough jobs, underappreciated jobs. I feel like a lot of times, and if you can say, hey, thanks, but it's more of a personal choice. It doesn't. I don't think it moves the needle one way or the other on your revenue. If anything, you're given a discount, so it probably hurts your revenue a little bit.
Last question. We got a DM on Instagram. And says young man, he's in college. He wants to get in a short-term rental business, but is in college student budget. He wants to know what are some of the steps he could take to reach his dream. Should he save his money, get a degree, and come back in a decade when he has his own home and so forth? What advice would you give him to kind of get going and where to start?
Yeah, one, we're all about the ownership model, right? We got to figure out the means to the end. And so right now you're in college, you're not at your peak earning years. You're trying to figure out how you're going to make money. So there's 3 phases to wealth building, right? I always say, and maybe there's more. 3 phases in my mind, right? You got to prepare to make the money. You start building that money. So you're in the prepare phase of wealth building phase, which is starting to figure out how am I going to stack up those dollar bills? Right. How am I going to create that active income to start to do those things where I can start to invest, right? And then there's that keeping stage, buying assets, putting it in places that, that extra money that we're making, being able to not live a little, a less lavish lifestyle while I'm building that money up so that I can put it into assets. And so you have to understand the means to the end, right? So you're saying, okay, if I want to buy assets, and I'm a believer in buying hard assets, that's obviously what we do. We're going to say, okay, those hard assets cost money, right? I'm going to have to put money into them. And so it's not like, okay, well, you just have to go put your time in for a decade, because I promise you a decade goes by and you're going to look back and nothing's going to change because you didn't prepare yourself. When you start thinking, okay, my end game is to buy that first asset. Right. I have to figure out, okay, what's going to pay my bills? How do I get into the game? Maybe I'm going to just go focus on my active income. Maybe it has nothing to do with short-term rentals. Maybe it has nothing to do with, buying one of these assets. Maybe it does. There's a lot of paths into active income to this game. People talk about co-hosting. People talk about being able to go start management companies. We don't do that, but those are ways to get into this game. And you're basically trading your time for money. And you're saying, okay, I'm going to go earn a living doing this work, right? This type of work. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's not. Maybe you look at the numbers and you say, okay, I'm going to make 100 grand, 150 grand a year doing that if I'm going to be a co-host or whatever it is. Or maybe I'm running down the road in college and I'm going to be a physician or a surgeon and I'm going to make $500,000 a year. You're probably better off picking that active income road that you're going to have more disposable income to go buy the end game, which is the assets, right? And so when you're in college, it's not losing sight of what that end game is, because when you have exactly what you want, you're going to accelerate faster there, right? You don't say, hey, listen, it might take you 2 years before you buy that first property. It might take you 5 years. It might take you 10 years. It's probably not going to take you 10 years if you're really diligent and focused on it. But what it does is it keeps you in check during that building phase, because what's really, really common for young people is saying, hey, I want to go buy a property. And they start building those, building and making more money. They get that first job, they get a raise, they do this, but their lifestyle goes up the whole way. And so they never have that extra money, right? They always are just spending what they're making. When you have an end game, you live below your means so that you start buying that first asset, and you live below your means a little longer. You buy the second one, they're starting to produce. And so then all of a sudden it snowballs really, really fast. Mm-hmm. And so you can get into the game other ways than ownership if you want to trade your time for money, and that's an active way to build some wealth up and build some money up. We don't, co-hosting, arbitrage, different ways to get in, management of other people's properties. They're decent ways if you want to run down that active income road. But the goal is saying, okay, I got to prepare what I want and get my mind right. This is what I'm going to do. As I start making some money, I got to figure out what is the fastest way to make the most money possible, live below my means, and then start buying assets, right? And you just rinse and repeat that.
Good. That's good advice. Okay, buddy. Well, that's it for today, man.
Okay, that's it.
Great
good
episode.
Questions. Yeah, that's good.
For all the insights, and hopefully it was great for the listeners.
That was good. That was a good episode. Guys, we hope you enjoy it. We always appreciate you spending your time with us. And you guys know I don't run ads or sponsorships on this podcast. And so the only way it grows is if you guys share it. So please share it if you know somebody else who would like to walk into these games with their eyes wide open. We talk a lot about short-term rental investing, the details within that. On this episode, you guys can send us in your questions. On Fridays, we're bringing in experts from all over different industries and different success stories, because success does leave clues. And so if you know somebody else who would like to be a part of those conversations, share the show. If you have more than 30 seconds, whatever platform you're watching or listening on, like it, review it, give us a thumbs up. Those things help us a lot. We do appreciate it. And the final, most important thing at the end of every episode is pick that one thing you can do today. Start building that life you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. Share this with other people you think need to hear about it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Hey Grace, is there a website?
Yes! For more amazing content and expert advice, visit Vodacy.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.